Hey, all, today we are going to continue talking about writing equations of lines. We have talked about so far writing equations of lines in slope-intercept form. So our y equals mx plus b. But we have a couple special cases of lines. We've talked about those in the past. We're going to talk about them again. Our horizontal lines, those are the lines that go from left to right. And our vertical lines, those are the lines that go straight up and down. And so they have unique equations. And so if we know that we have a horizontal line, we know it's going to go from left to right. And in this case, we want it to go through this point. So somewhere on this line is going to be a point that has an x value of -4 and a y value of 1. And it's always a good idea to write x, y. We just keep reinforcing which one is which. A couple things to know about horizontal lines. Remember, they are always going to have zero slope. And when we write the equation of a horizontal line, it's going to be in the form y equals some number. And that number is the y value of any point on that line. So if I look right now, the y value of the point I want to go through is -1. If I put any point on this line that's completely horizontal, it's always going to have a y value of -1. And so when we write the equation of a horizontal line, we figure out what the y value of all the points are, and we say that the equation is y equals that number. And there is a little way to remember it, but of course you have to remember this thing. It's that we have horizontal lines that have zero slope, and their equations are y equals. So sometimes people say HOY, H-O-Y. So if I look at this one, I want a horizontal line and I want it to go through this point. My horizontal line has zero slope and the equation y equals. I find the y value. The equation is y equals -1. So these two lines have the same equation. That means this is the same line. It goes through both of these points because the y values are the same and they're horizontal. If I want the equation of a vertical line that goes straight up and down through a point, we have another way to remember. V for vertical, U for undefined slope. We've talked about that in the past. Vertical lines have undefined slope. So if you're trying to calculate the slope, the bottom of that fraction would be 0. And in Desmos, it would tell you that that fraction is undefined. They have equations in the form x equals. And so we go find the x value of any point that that line goes through. And our equation is x equals that number. So Vux, Hoy Vux is like a way to sort of remember the differences between these two. Of course, you have to remember that correctly and know what all the letters mean. But it is a way to do it. So here we have a vertical line. It's going to have undefined slope. It's going to have an equation x equals. And so we'll look at the point we want it to go through and we'll find the x value. And so our equation is going to be x equals 1. We have a vertical line with undefined slope, and any point that's on that line is going to have an x value of 1. So there are 4 UDO problems. You can see 2 of them here. You should be able to see them all on your paper. So please pause right now and try those 4 problems, and then press play, come back, and check your answers. So here are the first two answers. The first one was a horizontal line, so we're going to be looking at the y value. The next one was a line with undefined slope. Undefined slope means it's a vertical line, and we're looking at the x value, so we'll have an x equals. The third one, we had a horizontal line, again, graphed. Horizontal is a line with zero slope, so we're looking at the y value. So any point on this graph has a y value of 2, and so we choose y equals 2. And in our last one, we need to calculate the slope, or we can notice that the x value is the same for both of these, so we can choose x equals 4. If you were to calculate the slope, you would get -7/0, which is undefined. And so a line with undefined slope is vertical, and it has an equation x equals whatever the x value is. In this case, it's 4. If you got one or more of these wrong and I didn't answer your question there very quickly, please raise your hand and have me come over so we can look at it together. If you've got your questions answered and you feel confident, go on to the practice. I recommend you doing the practice completely on paper first before you enter them into Edpuzzle, so you can get your answers checked by me if you want to make sure that you are on the right track before you enter any answers into the computer. Please take your time on these, and good luck.